Welcome back to Charlie Talks Global, where today we're diving into the vibrant cultures that make our world so fascinating.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Charlie Talks Global. I'm your host, and today we're diving into some of the most fascinating wedding traditions from around the world. Have you ever heard of a wedding that lasts 3 entire days, but the bride doesn't show up until the very end? Or celebrations where the groom has to prove his worth through bizarre challenges? Today, we're exploring wedding customs that will make you question everything you thought you knew about saying I do. From India to Scotland, from Nigeria to China, get ready for a journey through the world's most extraordinary marriage traditions. Before we start, let me ask you this: what's the longest wedding you've ever attended? A few hours? Maybe a full day? Well, buckle up, because we're about to explore celebrations that make a typical Western wedding look like a quick coffee break. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon, because we're always bringing you the most incredible cultural stories from every corner of our amazing planet. Let's start with our title mystery, the 3-day wedding without the bride. This actually refers to traditional Indian weddings, specifically in North India, where the celebration truly can span 3 days or even longer. Day 1, Mehendi and Sangeet. The festivities begin with the Mehendi ceremony, where the bride's hands and feet are decorated with intricate henna designs. But here's the fascinating part: traditionally, the bride would remain secluded with the women of her family while the men celebrate separately. The groom? He's often not even present for this first day. The Sangeet follows, a night of music, dancing, and celebration. Again, traditionally, the bride and groom celebrated separately with their respective families. So yes, you could have a full day of wedding celebrations without seeing the bride and groom together. Day 2, Pre-wedding rituals. The second day involves numerous rituals. The haldi ceremony covers both bride and groom in turmeric paste, but again, in separate locations. The kudda ceremony sees the bride receiving her wedding bangles from her maternal uncle. Day 3, the main event. Only on the third day do we see the actual wedding ceremony, the Sat Phir, where the couple circles the sacred fire 7 times. This is when the bride and groom finally come together as the central figures of their own celebration. What makes this even more interesting is that in some traditional families, the bride and groom might not have even seen each other before this moment if it's an arranged marriage. Now, if you thought Indian weddings were intense, wait until you hear about Scottish blackening traditions. In parts of Scotland, particularly in the north, there's a pre-wedding ritual that sounds more like a medieval punishment than a celebration. The night before the wedding, friends and family of the bride and groom capture them separately and cover them in a mixture of treacle, flour, feathers, and sometimes even more unpleasant substances. But it gets wilder. After being blackened, the couple is paraded through the town in the back of a truck or car, with pots and pans clanging to announce their upcoming nuptials. The belief is that if a couple can endure this humiliation together, they can survive anything marriage throws at them. Imagine trying to explain this to your future in-laws. "Oh, don't worry about the smell, it's just tradition." The practice is becoming less common, but it still happens in some communities. Modern versions might use less offensive materials, but the spirit remains the same: a test of endurance and a very public announcement of the upcoming wedding. Speaking of tests and challenges, let's travel to China, where the groom faces what might be the most entertaining obstacle course in wedding history: the door games. On the morning of the wedding, the groom arrives at the bride's family home with his groomsmen, ready to collect his bride. But the bridesmaids have other plans. They've barricaded the door and won't let the groom in until he passes a series of increasingly ridiculous challenges. These can include answering personal questions about the bride, performing embarrassing dances or songs, doing push-ups while reciting love poems, eating extremely spicy food, paying fines in red envelopes filled with money. The games can last for hours. I've heard of grooms having to eat wasabi, do yoga poses, and even answer math problems about their relationship. If you've been dating for 3 years, 2 months, and 5 days, how many hours have you been together? The best part? The bride is usually watching from a window, laughing at her future husband's struggles. It's all in good fun, but it's also a symbolic way for the bride's family to show they won't just give her away easily. The groom must prove he's worthy. Now let's explore a tradition where the bride is definitely present, but the focus is on something completely different: the Yoruba engagement ceremony in Nigeria. In Yoruba culture, there's a beautiful tradition called Momi Moe, literally meaning I know you. During the engagement ceremony, the bride, heavily veiled and surrounded by other veiled women, sits among them. The groom must identify his bride from the group. But here's the twist: the other women are often the bride's sisters, cousins, and friends, all dressed identically. The groom gets only one chance to choose correctly. If he picks the wrong woman, he has to pay a fine and try again. This tradition celebrates the idea that true love means knowing your partner so well that you can identify them even when they're hidden among others. It's romantic, challenging, and often hilarious when nervous grooms make the wrong choice. The ceremony also includes the tasting of different substances: honey for sweetness in marriage, bitter cola for the bitter times they'll overcome together, and palm wine for celebration. Each element tells a story about what marriage will bring. Let's head to Germany for a tradition that sounds like it encourages vandalism: the Polterabend. The night before a German wedding, friends and family gather at the couple's home for what essentially amounts to a sanctioned destruction party. Everyone brings old dishes, porcelain, and pottery, and then they smash it all to pieces in front of the couple's house. The noise is supposed to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck to the marriage. But here's the catch: the couple must clean up all the broken pieces together. This symbolizes that they'll work together to clean up any messes that life throws at them. The word Polterabend literally means crash evening, and some celebrations can get quite intense. I've heard of Polterabends where people bring old toilets, sinks, and even bathtubs to smash. There's one important rule though: you can't bring mirrors or glass, as breaking these is considered bad luck. Only porcelain and pottery are allowed in the sea.